When we're talking complete lifestyle intervention for people that we're coaching, it always starts with mindset. And mindset is, I'm going to focus on what I can control. My habits establish who I am and the example I set for others. And when I become a better person inside and out, all of a sudden, business and personal life tend to excel as well. And I'm just saying, when someone wants to go farther and be better, they're going to need an edge. Vague process gets vague results. Usually over time, excuse my language, people get sick of their own bullshit.
What is up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Reside Platform podcast. My name is Suneet Agarwal. I'm one of the founders of Reside, and I love doing this podcast for all of you. And today we have a real special guest, and it's very exciting to me for a reason that I'll get to in a second. Mr. Alec Cheplak. Alec, how are you, bro?
I'm good. I'm grateful, man. Really happy to be here. Happy to be building my relationship I have with you and, the whole team over at Reside and just the people you guys are around. I'm grateful just to be part of the circle. And my wife and I are having a pretty special journey together right now. And a lot of it has to do with the work we get to do with all the people that we're connected with. So I'm good, man. I'm really happy.
Awesome. So quick question. You have a familiar last name, Cheplak.
Yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah. So
I have a familiar middle name too, Jonathan.
Yeah. So for everybody who doesn't know, watching, listening, one of the founders of Reside and my mentor, one of my greatest friends is Jon Cheplak, changed my life in business. And Alec is his son, right? And would you say that, you've been in the fitness industry for how long?
It'll be 12 years as of June, man. I'm 29 years old, and 12 years is more than a third of my life. So a long time. I've been here for a while, man.
And did it happen because I know, your dad brings like this fitness mindset always, and he's a super fit, like one of the densest dudes I ever met, right? So he brings this health and fitness to his clients, and a lot of people went to him saying, John, what do I do? What do I do? He's all, well, I'm not a trainer.
Yeah.
But is that kind of what went down for you guys to get started?
Well, man, we've been talking about it for 10 years or longer than that, like 10 15 years of one day we're into a father-son fitness company. We never envisioned it to look like it looks today, but it was a seed that was planted like over a decade ago, like before any of this. Yeah. And so I get the chills. It's kind of cool, really, because it's one of those like childhood things. You're growing up, you're a teenager, you see your dad getting sober, then you see that good example, you see he goes and competes and stuff. And I see these changes, and he's planting that seed. Dude, we could like launch a fitness business one day. And it was like this thing that was kind of discussed about like well over a decade ago. And, so cool. Yeah. And it's funny. It wasn't until I'm 11 years into it and he's, at his pinnacle, starting to hit his stride in his business. And, Christmas Eve 2022, he calls me, and I'm out, shopping for Christmas presents. You know how men are. We last minute, and it's so funny. I get the call, and my dad, I love my dad. He's great, but he's not one of those guys that just calls you to be like small talking. Hey, how you doing? Like he calls you with a purpose.
Or a purpose. 100%.
Yes, there's definitely a purpose of the phone call. And so he calls me and he's like, dude, I got an idea. And I'm like, what? And he's like, we're going to launch a wellness company. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm ready, And so that's kind of how it all happened. It was something we talked about for 10, 15 plus years. But once I was established, once I had over a decade experience, once I was really changing clients' lives and becoming, my wife and I, top coaches in our city and state, he's like, hey, we need to bring this to the real estate industry. People need your help. And I know you're the expert in the field. So let's partner up.
Yeah. And not like it's a small city. It's Las Vegas, which is a lot of fitness happening in that city. So to have your resume and your accomplishments at your age in Vegas, dude, yeah, you're killing it. which is one of the reasons why I have you on today, and another reason why you're having great success. The reason I am super excited about this episode, because this is traditionally a real estate and business podcast. That's what the show is. And in my personal podcast consumption that I do, bro, I listen to a lot of business stuff. I'll listen to Hermosi all day, and I'll listen to a lot of the business stuff. But I work out every day. I like fitness. I've been listening to a lot of fitness podcasts lately too. More plates, more dates, Renaissance periodization. I've been getting really into those shows. I don't know if you ever watched that Renaissance periodization, but that guy, Mike, Dr. Mike, is hilarious. But there is a correlation to fitness and wellness and business, right? Tell me what you think about that correlation.
I was on Zoom yesterday. Shout out Parker Pemberton. I'll be sharing clips from that one. You know Parker?
Yeah, for sure.
He literally said, it's so crazy. It's so wild. These conversations come up. I get on Zooms. I've been coaching Parker for 8 months.
Okay.
And he's doing phenomenal right now, best shape of his life. And he's like, dude, we're, this close to being number one in all of EXP all across, not North America, all across the country or whatever. I think he's number 3 in all of EXP right now. And he's like,
oh, wow, good.
He's massive right now in his business. And he's like, the biggest change I made is just myself. He's like, dude, we were dealing with, people at different commitment levels, people at different follow through levels, people producing different amounts of money. And, he got sober. He doesn't go bragging about it, but he has, his year of sobriety, quit drinking, got fit, changed his habits. His team's blowing up. He said it's you're attracting different agents. You're demonstrating different behaviors. Your agents see your behaviors and start mimicking you. People are working out and eating healthy, and the whole energy and the culture in the office is different. And that's coming from a top team leader. So you don't got to hear it from me. I'm just the fitness guy, but I get, for real, I just get the privilege of coaching these high level business operators, and they're saying it to me. He's like, dude, I changed my habits. I changed my behaviors. The whole team and culture is completely different, and the revenue matches. They're just crushing it. So I'm just seeing it happen real time, real life from people that I'm lucky enough to work with, man.
Yes, because I think it's having a commitment to something and accountability to something in yourself, right? The hardest person to hold accountable is yourself. But however, having a coach like you definitely helps with the accountability, right? But it resonates into everything, right? Just that mindset just gets strong. Do you think a lot of it has to do with mindset, Alex?
It's all mindset first. So we're talking about complete lifestyle intervention. So when we're talking complete lifestyle intervention for people that we're coaching, it always starts with mindset. And mindset is, I'm going to focus on what I can control.
Yep.
And that's where it's all backwards. So it would go mindset first, then nutrition intervention, then exercise intervention, then over-the-counter supplementation, then prescription drug intervention. And the whole culture, all of North America and the United States has it backwards, where it's let's skip everything else that I just talked about and put drug intervention first. Yeah. And so what we do is we don't disregard the elephant in the room with the drug intervention, but it's at the bottom of the list. The very first thing at top of the list is mindset. And mindset is I control my choices, I control my behaviors, and my choices and behaviors compound over time and create my habits. Yep. My habits establish who I am and the example I set for others. And when I become a better person inside and out, all of a sudden business and personal life tend to excel as well. And so that's just what we're seeing show up.
I think that one of the big things about mindset too, man, and controlling the controllables is you control putting that piece of cake in your mouth, don't you?
Yeah.
You control sitting down on the couch all day and binging on whatever you're going to binge on. Maybe it's Helldivers. I don't know.
Video games and stuff.
Yeah, the video games. It's easy. Diablo for sure. Give me some other examples, maybe other things you've seen and successes, because I think that's where, people are going to get a lot of value.
Yeah, with the successes that I've seen have always come back to the mindset and the habits and choices and behaviors. People are quitting alcohol, and there's different levels to whether it's a problem or not, or what extent it's a problem. But people are just getting sober, like it's just happening. And when people are doing this, all of a sudden their marriages are turning around for the better. Their relationships with their kids are turning around for the better. They're in the best shape of their life. Like I had a guy who got sober. He calls me, after I spoke in Tahoe, calls me last October, and he's like, dude, I need a change. And, now he's in the crowd at Nashville Maverick, and he's like, dude, you guys saved my marriage.
Wow.
My family is the strongest it's ever been. I'm in the best shape of my life. He just texted me. It was his birthday. I believe it was his 41st or 42nd birthday. I'd have to check. And he said, this is the best birthday of my life. And he did it sober. He did it in the best shape of his life. And so I think that's the big breakthrough we're seeing too, is not just doing more of the right things, but stop doing the things that are holding you back. Because it's the extension of it is like, well, is this a problem? I don't know if that's even the question to ask. I think the question to ask is this supporting you to be the best you can be in all areas of your personal and professional life? Absolutely. And right now in this market, it's a wild market. I don't think we have room for error. I don't think people have room to do things that are not supporting them to be the best they can be. And so we're seeing it show up in families, and we're seeing it show up in business through obviously sobriety, but also just the day-to-day choices around your health and fitness too.
Dude, like, here's the thing, and I'm so glad that you went here. Everybody wants an edge, right? I want to have an edge on everybody. So what are you doing to get an edge? Learning more stuff, practicing more stuff, maybe attending more events. But if your energy is messed up from poor sleep, and if your diet is messed up from poor sleep, and if alcohol's causing the poor sleep, then you're losing whatever edge that you're fucking working on.
It's wild how this is unfolding, this conversation. This is something I say all the time to my people that I talk with every day. You need an edge right now more than ever.
Yes, dude, I say that too. Good shit, Alec.
Literally, I love that you said that because you're speaking the language. I love that you said that. You need an edge, any edge that you can have in your life to be 1% better or more capable as a person. You need that. So how does it make sense if we're not exactly where we want to be, that we do anything that takes the edge off?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the simple fact is alcohol, I'll still drink whatever I want. Alcohol inhibits your sleep and your macronutrients, right? So just from a physiological sense, like you are losing an edge every time that you consume alcohol.
Well, and people literally say it. They'll say, oh, and I'm not attacking anyone. No judgment. I'm just repeating what I hear from people.
Absolutely.
Often. They say, I drink to take the edge off. I eat, crappy food to take the edge off. I smoke weed to take the edge off. I'm not demonizing any of these things. I'm just saying when someone wants to go farther and be better, they're going to need an edge. This may be a phase in your life where you may want to reduce how many things you're doing that take the edge off. You may need that edge. It's going to be your companion right now,
Absolutely. And I mean, like, something else that's important around all this is if you have a family, or even if you don't have a family, like, I don't want to die young, right? I mean, maybe if you don't care, that's on you, but that's something that I think about being a 47-year-old parent to two little girls, right? Like, I don't want to die young. And all of these things, like, can you get in shape, Alec, and be healthy if you eat a bunch of shit every day?
Not a bunch. You can maybe budget a little bit, but not a bunch. Not as much as people think. I think people are massively underestimating how many calories they're consuming. So I also, like, as much as I'm not going to demonize food. I'm not going to demonize alcohol. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
But what I am going to do is come from a place of logic and rationale. And what I would say is, oh, saying I'm never going to eat a cookie again or I'm never going to eat a donut again is not really a lifestyle intervention that I'm willing to commit to. And if I'm not, I know 99% of other people are not either. Yeah. But I will say that people are massively underestimating how much calories they're consuming because they're consuming these low volume, they're small serving sizes, high calorie dense foods. Yes. And so it's like you can have these huge dishes of food that are high volume, low calories and high micronutrient, or you could have like that pink box donut. And so you start to compare the quantity and volume of food you can consume from either like a donut or like a salad with meats and fruits and vegetables. You can eat a disproportionately larger amount of food and feel more full and satisfied for less calories, depending on food selection. And so that's a very logical way to look at it. So I would say you can't eat a bunch of junk, like donuts every meal. Your calories are going to be ridiculous, dude. Sure, but you could incorporate things like that between 1 to 3 days a week in a controlled quantity and just control the calories around it and make sure, especially if your goal is weight loss, because you talked about weight loss, we want to create a downward trend over time. And so the way we're going to create the downward trend over time is to spend the majority of our time in a deficit where we're consuming less calories than we're burning, and the minority of our time at either maintenance or a slight surplus. So that means, logically speaking, if there's 7 days in a week, 4 to 6 of those days weekly would be spent in a deficit, and 1 to 3 days weekly would be at maintenance or slight surplus. And so now the overall energy balance of the week is a deficit. And that's how you could have something like a donut or a cookie or something like that in your lifestyle every single week and still lose weight over time. It's a very logical approach.
Absolutely. Can somebody go out on Friday night, not get too crazy once a week and get in good shape?
Yeah. I would challenge them to get a little more clear and specific. Vague process gets vague results. People say things.
That was a vague question too.
Yeah. So you asked me a vague question, so I won't even participate in it at surface level. I'll dig deeper on that question, right?
Sure.
And like, this is how I have to talk to people every day, dude. It's my job.
So good at it.
It's hilarious because listen, I hear these buzzwords: not that much, not too much, right? Not too crazy. And so those very vague. So we need some clarity around that. And so, I'll walk up to someone or they'll walk up to me after I speak, or you right now are asking me not too crazy. And I'll say, yeah, not too crazy is not an accurate measurement. So how many calories did you consume from that? Can we find a quantity and attach it to in replacement of that not too crazy? So like, what are they having? 2 or 3 beers? Okay. Did they track the 2 or 3 beers? Did they actually log it within their calories? Here's an example. I have some clients who say, hey, once we have the clarity out of the way, they say, hey, I'm not going to stop drinking alcohol, but I want to have success with your program. And this isn't like a judgment zone. This isn't a because I'm sober, you need to be sober. I allow people to come forward to me at any level they're willing to come at when it comes to drinking less or none at all. And I will say, let's limit your alcohol to 1 to 3 days weekly. And what will happen is you'll be in deficit the other 4 to 6 days. And in those 1 to 3 days weekly where you have alcohol, that will be part of your calorie budget. I'll give you an additional 300 to 600 calories if it's a smaller human, or 400 to 800 calories if it's a larger human. And you can decide, would you rather spend that extra 500 calories on more food because you're hungry, or would you rather spend it on alcohol? And now 2 things happen. One, if they want the alcohol, they actually track it in MyFitnessPal and they include it in their additional calorie budget that I've allotted.
Yep. Which all the booze is in MyFitnessPal now. So it's really great. Yep.
So it's really easy to track. So that's one end. And then on the other end, they start all of a sudden the next day or that evening, or, people drink now, they want to eat. They're like, hey, dude, I'm starving. And I said, well, maybe you shouldn't have used alcohol for those 500 calories. Yeah. Maybe you should have ate a meal.
And that's a straight logical place to come from. Even giving them extra calories to work with.
Dude. And so that's where, it's like a mirror and it's like a self-discovery process. I'm not projecting on people they need to believe what I believe. I give them the tools to track and measure things and look in the mirror daily. And they look in the mirror frequently enough. And then usually over time, excuse my language, people get sick of their own bullshit. They're like, dude, I went there and just drank all this alcohol and I could have had like a steak dinner. What am I doing?
Exactly. When you get that realization, that's when people win. That's exactly. Like that's when you're all, oh, that's how this works. It's literally math.
Dude,
it's literally math. So you tell people calculate your base metabolic rate.
They don't need to calculate anything. I'll do it for them.
Oh, well, I mean, if somebody wanted to start and just play around, a good place to start is figuring out that.
Okay, for fat loss, I mean, it's debatable. There's formulas for that. I'll give you a simple formula for fat loss. It's not the set in stone. It's not the holy grail. This is the first formula that I approach for every fat loss client. And then obviously there's some ranges to it, and you do it for 3 to 7 days. If you like what you see, keep it. If you don't like it, increase food or decrease food. But just a baseline recommendation. I typically, if someone wants to lose body fat, will recommend their day 1 caloric intake or macro intake would be 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. There's debates on that. If someone's like really overweight, then to go closer down to that 0.8 range or even closer down to their goal weight range. But someone who wants to lose like 30, 40, 50 pounds, not like 100 pounds plus, I typically recommend between that 0.8 to 1 gram protein per pound of body weight. And then carbs, I would do 0.5 gram to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. So like if you're 220, it could be, or 200, it could be anywhere from 100 to 160 grams of carbs range. Pick a range and just stick with it. Sure. And then for fats, I try to keep fats very modest and leave room to increase them if we need to, because protein, carbs, and sugars are only 4 calories per gram, where fats are 9 calories per gram. So I'll start with the fats around like 50 to 60 grams, just so they have enough to support healthy hormone function, and it'll help curb the appetite and like satiate you a bit more. But I don't want to get carried away because it's easy to overconsume calories with fats. So say you're 200 pounds, you want to lose 40 pounds, have 200 protein, 150 carbs, 60 fats, stay there for 3 to 7 days, see what happens. You want to trend 1% of body weight lost per week. And so if you're 200 pounds, you want to lose 40 pounds, you could expect to lose 2 pounds a week for the next 20 weeks. So in about 5 months, you could lose 40 pounds with a very slow, steady approach. You have a high protein, moderate carb, moderate fat diet, and you're focused on progressively getting stronger throughout those 5 months while doing the least effective dose of cardio. Because I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they're trying to cardio their way to their dream body. And you're not very likely to do that. What I tell people is if you control how much you're eating and you just focus on getting stronger, good things will happen. Yeah. And so the minimum effective dose we recommend is 10K steps daily or 30 minutes of low intensity cardio, zone 2 heart rate. And for zone 2 heart rate, you could do 220 minus your age. You'll find that number. And then you'll multiply that number, which would be like your max heart rate or peak heart rate, by, I believe it's 0.65 to 0.75. I usually just do it by 0.7.
Yeah, cool.
And then you would find your target heart rate. So that's like a simple summary of how to a beginner to start losing weight and build muscle.
So if you didn't hear that, go back and rewind, right? We said about 1 pound, or
1% of body weight loss per week.
1% of body weight loss per week. It's a reasonable way. Anything faster than that is bullshit.
Here's why it's bullshit. I'll tell you why it's bullshit. Because people are like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And then guess what? 6 months from now, they're like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. And they keep doing it again because you can't sustain it. And so that's where I think this like big trend of the fat loss or weight loss industry is like hyper popular right now. But the actual fitness and lifestyle industry is like minuscule in comparison.
Totally.
It's like a mega monster marketing machine for weight loss, but then like there's no one talking about just getting fit and staying fit, because that would solve your problem, and then they have nothing to sell you. And so they want to keep selling you the next trend for weight loss, and the discussion's different over here. It's like, how can I actually establish the consistency, the habits and routine that I can sustain long term, and how can I become the human being with the characteristic traits that actually walks this path rather than here's the problem. If you lose weight really fast, like even to an extreme, and I'm not ever going to attack the weight loss drugs because I believe they can be life-saving in certain areas.
For sobriety and stuff, that's going to be the new use of Ozempic because they're giving it to addicts, and addicts don't want to take shit.
So the weight loss drugs can be life-saving. The weight loss surgeries can be life-saving. I just want to give you guys a future pace and a warning that on the other end of that, when you get off the drug or when the surgery's over, you have not actually changed your habits and behavior and become the person who can keep the weight off. And so as you're doing these things, I would like you to be hyper conscious that they could be life-saving. They could potentially be good choices. I'm not saying they're applicable for everyone, but also prepare yourself to lift weights 3 to 5 days a week. Prepare yourself to walk 10K steps a day. Prepare yourself to have a high protein diet, moderate carbs, moderate fat. I think these are all very, very realistic requests that I'm making. And I think that it's going to have your best interest in mind.
Absolutely.
So when you lose the weight, you don't gain it back.
You don't have to go through all that pain or even a surgery. Like how many times have you seen someone had a stomach staple and then they gain all the weight back and then they just went through that stuff? I mean, it's tragic.
Yes.
It's tragic.
Right? Yes. And so they can be life-saving things. I will never demonize them. I think there's an appropriate time and place if they can't do it through lifestyle intervention alone. But I would encourage you guys to attach a lifestyle intervention to those things. It's not the solution, you know? And then when it comes to losing 1% of body weight loss per week, the reason we do this is because my objective when I have a coaching client is to give you as much food as possible while still losing 1% of body weight per week, meaning you do have to be in a deficit, but a very slight deficit. And so I can keep you a little less hyper food focus, because if you just go fast or you just go keto or you just go these things, I'm not attacking them, but eventually you're going to have a hyper food focus and you're going to want to overeat again. And so what I try to do is keep you as satisfied as possible with as much nutrients as possible while still trending 1% of body weight loss per week. So it's sustainable. And you could potentially either sustain the lean body mass you have now or even slightly increase lean body mass throughout this process if you're strength focused. And so that means you're tracking your performance in your lifts. You do the exact same 3 to 5 days of strength training every single week. And like day one's mirror to day one, day two, mirror to day two, and you track your progressive overload. You compare, if I was doing a shoulder press last week, how much weight, reps, and sets did I do? And you try to progressively beat the logbook on the exact same exercise week over week. Yep. Now, if you keep your food at a high enough level and you go at a slow weight loss trend, you can actually physically get stronger, which is a good indicator that you're increasing lean body mass. If you go hyper cardio focus and you go extremely restrictive with your food, you're likely going to lose strength and performance, which is likely going to create a downward trend in lean body mass too, which is what
you fat and muscle, which you don't want. Yeah.
So that's a double-edged blade. One edge is you're going to lose the weight and gain it back if you try to rush it and you don't establish the habits. And the other end is, do you want to just become a smaller, skinnier, more fragile, less physically capable human being? Or do you want to lose body fat while increasing lean body mass, becoming more physically capable and actually feeling good and confident in your body?
Yeah, love that. Love that. We're talking about working out. So I've never worked out and I want to start working out. What should I do?
Get a gym membership. And if you're not going to, it's that simple. And if not, then build a little home gym. You can text me or send me a message on Facebook. Ask me for the equipment list. I have one I can send out to people, a free equipment list if they want to work out at home. So you get your equipment together. What I would do if I have a beginner, someone who's not currently training or it's their day one, I do a push-pull leg split.
Yep.
So you need 6 foundational movements. If you progress these 6 foundational movements for the rest of your life, you could learn more as you go. But these 6 movements will always be hard. They'll always be you can always progress them. You're never going to be too good for any of these. Okay. I think people try to overcomplicate it, and think that's just beginners. That's just for the basics. Here's the 6 movements. vertical and horizontal push. That's a chest press and an overhead press. That's 2 of the 6 movements.
Okay.
That could be your day
press
one.
and shoulder press, right?
Chest press and shoulder press. It's just a vertical and horizontal press. Those are the first 2. The second 2 are vertical and horizontal pull. So that's just a pull down in a row.
Yep.
And the last 2 of the 6 are any form of squat and hip hinge. If you do those 6 movements progressively every week as a beginner, holler at me in 10 years, they're still going to be hard.
How many reps and sets should I do?
That's all nuance. It's all nuance. So there's more nuance to it. Let me go more detailed here. I know I oversimplify it, but it's actually that simple. But let me give you more details since you asked. And other people are going to be curious too. So what I would recommend is splitting these up into 3 days, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So there's your training frequency. Okay. Then on Monday, you would do just your push exercises. You would do your chest press and your shoulder press. You could start with just 5 sets of each. So your push day is just 10 sets.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That could be your whole workout. And then what you want to do is I'd probably recommend that you don't go too crazy at first for about the first month, 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe just go for a rep range and just get comfortable with the movements. Don't worry about proximity to failure or anything like that. You could do like 12 to 15 reps for all 5 sets.
Oh, yeah. Good.
For the first month or so, right? Until you build that consistency, that endurance, you're kind of more confident with the exercises. Then on Wednesday, you would do your pull down or pull up and your row. And then you think modalities. Okay, so modalities is what tool am I using? Because I know I'm saying movements, but am I using dumbbells? Am I using barbells? Am I using a machine?
Sure.
Pick your favorite modality. Modalities are preference. If you feel real safe on a machine first and you don't quite feel safe with a barbell, do the machine.
Yeah, do the machine. As you get older, just do the machine.
Yeah, like it's not that big of a deal. The biggest deal is progressive overload over time. And so if you like dumbbells, use the dumbbells. If you like cables, use the cables, but progress these movements. So yeah, so Monday's my 2 push exercises, 10 total sets. Wednesday is my 2 pull exercises, a pull down and a row, 10 total sets. Friday is my leg exercise, a squat or a hip hinge. And so for people that don't know your squat, could it be an actual squat? It could be body weight. It could be with a bar on your back. It could be holding a dumbbell in front of your chest. It could be a lunge is considered a squat. It's just a single leg squat. It could be a
leg press.
I'm not opposed to it. It is an exercise selection. I would say for a beginner, though, I probably want them to get comfortable sitting down and standing up. I wouldn't want to take away an actual squat from a day one beginner. I think it's going to have a lot of stability benefits.
Yeah, balance, stability.
Yeah, so I think that you could throw the leg press in there. I think it's a great option, but if I had to choose like only 2 exercises that day, it would be some form of a squat, like actually unstable, whether it's like holding a dumbbell in front of your chest and squatting or doing a step up on something that's unstable, honestly.
So not even a hack squat then.
You could. I probably wouldn't give that to a day one beginner either over something that's unstable. I'd want to improve their stability for a month or 2 first. Then you could go to the machines and focus more on the weight and stuff like that. Just for the squat specifically, I want people to establish some core stability, honestly.
Okay, so Monday push,
Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Monday push, Wednesday pull, Friday legs. So 3-day split, space them out.
Okay.
And so the first month, just do 12 to 15 rep range. Then you can start to progress from there, and it's not going to be about a perfect number. Over time, studies have shown that even if it's between 6 reps or 20 or 30 reps, you can actually build similar amounts of lean body mass and get similar results as long as you're training within close proximity to failure.
Sure.
And so it's not the magic number. It's not like your body knows you did exactly 6 reps or exactly 13 reps. It's building your tolerance to physical stress over time. And so your proximity to failure is like, there's 2 metrics to gauge this. One would be RIR.
RIR, okay.
Reps in reserve.
Okay.
It's reps in reserve. You have heard that because they talk about it on one of the podcasts you talked about.
Yeah.
I know that. I've heard them say that. So RIR is very popular. It's reps in reserve. Most people have not heard that, though. That's fair enough. And then the second one is RPE, which most people have not heard that too. Usually only CrossFitters talk in that lingo, RPE. But that's rate of perceived exertion. And so RIR and rate of perceived exertion are, I would argue, more important metrics to track than reps.
Yeah, for sure.
How many reps should I do? How many reps should I do? Well, if you've been at it for a while, man, I would encourage you. Yeah, you could have a rep range, but rate of perceived exertion is a 1 to 10 difficulty scale. 1 being the easiest, like effortless, 10 being like it was everything you had. And so what I like to do with RPE and what I like to do with reps in reserve is use them as kind of a mirror. And so reps in reserve, my target on a working set that I'm going to elicit a response from is going to be between 1 to 3 reps in reserve. And so then the opposite's also true with rate of perceived exertion. I'd like it to be between a 7 to 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And so if you're spending those main working sets in that 1 to 3 reps in reserve, in that 7 to 9 or 8 is the sweet spot out of 10 difficulty, that's where the magic is going to happen. So you need to train at a high intensity. And I don't believe enough people have enough real intense training experience to truly gauge what failure is in the gym. I would say that I got exposed to it at an early age with my dad and with our old trainer and with his old best friends and stuff. I mean, I got deboed into this gym thing, man. I was a little skinny teenager and they were just monsters, and I would train with them. And so I got exposed to intense training at a really young age. And I believe that could be a really beneficial thing for people, but not to rush it. You don't need to on day one go train all crazy. But over time, I think it would really benefit people to have that experience. Whether it's with a friend or a family member or an in-person trainer, just get that experience of what it's like to really train pretty intense, and obviously build your way up at a moderate, progressive approach. Don't just go all out on day one. Work your way up there over time.
Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself because Alex said, I got to train to failure, don't do that.
When you think you got one more, go for it, as long as you can get the bar back up. Right?
Yeah. So, and failure there's a misconception too, because I think people will either stop when it gets difficult, which is not actually failure. Like that's when it starts to really make a difference for you, is when that's where you're going to elicit an adaptation, is when it gets difficult. So that's where I think there's a misconception. Well, it started burning. Well, they could have still done 6, 7, 8 reps.
Yeah.
But they stopped because it started burning. So that's one misconception. Another one
means it's starting to work.
Yeah. So the hard reps are the ones that are going to elicit a really good progression. And then also what I would say is failure doesn't mean like, oh, you got hurt or nothing like that. It's when there's a mechanical, like a form breakdown. Like when you can't say that you're at rep 9 and it looks great, but then rep 10 looks different than rep 9, rep 11 looks different than rep 10. When you can no longer keep your form and technique uniform, because they're called repetitions.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be repetitive. Your reps should look like clones of each other. Right. And so when each rep starts looking all flaily and all over the place, slow it down, regain control. If you do one rep and on the second or third rep, you can't recorrect yourself, just rack it. You don't need to force it. But real proximity to failure is going to be when there's, a mechanical form breakdown and you can no longer do a correct rep.
Dude, man, you made it real simple, guys. If you didn't listen, like that's a great place to start. Or if you haven't lifted in a while, 3 days a week, get your steps in. You can all get a watch or a ring or something. In fact, I got a treadmill from Amazon for like $300, and I take it from room to room. So if the kids are watching TV or my wife's making dinner, I'm just walking, right? Playing Diablo's a little hard on it. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm getting better. I only fell once. And
oh my God.
I did not fall on my ass, but I stumbled off and had to like jump off.
Oh, I was going to say that would have been a good IG reel, man.
And walking on it with Crocs on is also kind of a balancing thing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how many reps or how many sets do you try and hit a week per body part on average? There's a lot of talk about this now, and I hear like Mike Israelton talking about, optimum reps per week all the time. Excuse me, sets per week.
Yeah, I think here's what I will say. The greater your capacity to perform at a high level, like myself personally, I don't need as many reps as someone else who can't perform at as high of
sets.
Or as many sets. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like total weekly sets. I don't need as much to create the same stimulus as someone else who can't train at as high of an intensity. And so what I would recommend for other people, not for self, or
sure,
it's not what's perfect, but when you're at a beginning, you could start at like 10, 15 sets of body part and then progressively work your way up to like 20 or 25 sets in a week of a larger body part, and then keep your smaller body parts between the 10 to 15 sets a week. But when we start talking about like lower sets per week, I think it's also important to consider how intense someone can actually train.
Yeah.
So like when you can train really intense, dude, I can't do 25 intense sets in a week. At the intensity that I train at, I'm good for like 10 to 15, but
you're shaking at the end of every.
Yeah. Like
you go follow Alec on Instagram. Is he going to drop that 100-pound on his shoulder press?
Yeah. Yeah, so like I can't do that many.
By the way, holy shit, I see that. But
yeah, and well, let's go back to what I said. Guess what 6 movements I do every week for the past 12 years?
Yeah.
The same 6 movements I just said. You just do the same thing over and over and over and over and get a little better, and all of a sudden you get strong. But I will say, not to discredit the basics, dude, I've been doing squats for 12 years. They're still hard. I've been doing shoulder press for 12 years. Yeah, my shoulder press is strong. It's still hard. And so you don't got to switch it up so much as people think you do. I think you need to just progressively get better at the same thing, even by small metrics. If it's one more rep, one more set, a little closer to failure, let's not get too caught up in the details. Progression is the name of the game.
Yeah. What about just like a different, like Promosi's been talking about this, and Ryan Fish is one of his homies. They do, every time they go, they do a full body, and that's what they tell people to do.
Again, progression. Do I do it personally? No. Is there...
Everything will work for other people.
Yeah. You know what works? Work, dude. Yeah, whatever someone can get themselves to get up and go do consistently for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, 10 years, it'll work. So I think that's why, like, yeah, I won't even... Like, I'm never going to argue or debate or my way is better or his way is better. Did the person do it for 5 years? Well, then it's great. Like, Did the person get a result from it? It's great. Could the person do it consistently 3 to 5 days a week? Yep, it's great. Like people...
That's what's so important is I think so many people new to this are not experienced. They get hung up in all this extra shit. And that causes paralysis.
Dude.
Like, what food should I eat? Maybe I'm going to do the Mediterranean. Maybe I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this kind of workout plan. I'm going to do this. And it just keeps, after 2 weeks of nothing happening, then they change. And after 2 weeks of nothing happening, then they change. And it's the consistency of actually doing the stuff, the simple stuff that's always going to pay the most.
Dude, and that's what it is. I mean, that's just the facts. People are getting ready to get ready. You've been getting ready to get ready for the past 25 years. It's time to do something. And people are in the information collecting stage. You have more information than you'll ever need in your life.
Absolutely.
Are you doing even 10% of what you already know to be true? Like going to the gym 5 days a week, like walking, like controlling how much you eat, like cooking food in advance. Like these are such basic. Are you getting 8 hours a night of sleep? Are you reducing or eliminating drug and alcohol consumption? Like people want all that, like they're like an encyclopedia, but then if you look at the basic foundationals of, is my mindset in order? Do I control my choices? Do I control my habits? Is my nutrition in order? Am I giving myself meats, fruits, vegetables, protein, controlling the total quantity? Is my sleep in order? Am I getting full night's rest? Am I using some over-the-counter supplements for things I can't get from food alone? And am I not, abusing drugs or alcohol in general? Or is there any prescriptions that I may need to implement through doctors because I've been unable to correct my health markers through lifestyle alone. Like, that's the whole conversation. That's it. And so I said it all in like 1 or 2 minutes right there. And people are going for years without executing on any of it. And so what I would do, and I'm not even attacking you guys, what I would do is, if I can encourage you to do any takeaway today, go download MyFitnessPal, get control over it.
Free.
Yeah, free. MyFitnessPal. I should have a code by now. They should be paying me a lot of money for how often I plug them, but I'll give it to you for free. Get MyFitnessPal. Literally no dietary changes. Just start tracking what you're eating, and I think it will be an enlightening, eye-opening experience for you.
100%. Start tracking. Get yourself MyFitnessPal on a $10 scale next time you go to the grocery store, and just start looking.
That's it. 1. Number 2, get a watch or a heart rate tracker. You can get the nice fancy watch if you want, or you could get a $20 heart rate tracker or a step tracker. Just track your activity and track your heart rate when you're walking. Just start doing that. No changes. Just walk and just track it. Get a gym membership or the home gym equipment. You could message me for that for free, and just do push-pull legs 3 days a week for the next 12 weeks and do the exact same exercises, but get a little better each week. And
increase the weight a little bit.
That's it. And then, like literally just that takeaway right there. And then get to some updated blood work. Man, how old are you? When's the last time you got blood work? If you're in your 35, 45.
So many people have never done it, dude.
Dude, if it's been more than 6 months since you got blood work, go do that.
I love it. Every 3 months. I love it.
Go do that, man. You owe it to your kids and your family and your business.
Yes.
Be here for it.
And it's not expensive now. You can order your own blood work on quest.com, right? Or LabTech or any of these places. Like, you don't even need a prescription.
It's all convenient now.
Yeah. They'll even come to your house in some cities, right? I mean, like, it's easy.
Yeah.
Good, dude. Man, you brought some fire. To wrap it up real quick, some fun questions.
Okay.
What fitness content do you listen to?
What fitness content do I listen to? Here's what I would say, man.
You listen to music and sports all day, aren't you?
I'll listen to church, or I'll listen to, marketing or business development, but like the fitness content, I'm not saying I know it all. I really don't. But, I had my experience in formal classroom setting. I taught anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, biomechanics, fitness, nutrition. I taught these things. I right now have more fitness information than I'll ever need to support the general population.
Sure.
So what fitness content am I listening to? I'm creating. I'm putting the fitness content out. You know what I mean?
Who are your favorite professional bodybuilders? Who do you think looks the best out there?
Well, hopefully my wife, July 20th.
Yeah. Definitely your wife. Yeah.
Hopefully my wife, July 20th in Pittsburgh. She's competing. Shout out Shannon Cheplak. She coaches all the women in Cheplak Wellness. Shout out Shannon. Fingers crossed. If she wins, fingers crossed. If she wins her pro card in July, she'll be my favorite one. I don't know, man. I care more
about a kid then.
As a kid?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm so far detached from the bodybuilding thing now. I used to like all the men's physique guys. Like, it was cool to see that whole division come out and sure. Go up. Yeah. I don't know, man.
When we were young, going to the gym, there wasn't the internet, so we got all the fitness magazines, and like Sean Ray would come to the mall, and we would all like go and get an autograph for Sean Ray, or like Jason Cutler, or all these things. So it was a big deal for us. Okay,
yeah.
Last fun question. You almost gave the answer, but I'm asking for you personally.
Okay.
If you could only do 10 different exercises for the rest of your life. Wait.
10 gives me even more than I would.
Give you more.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. So I would do, if I could just do 10, I would do incline dumbbell press.
Incline dumbbell chest press?
Yes, incline dumbbell chest press. Okay. Dumbbell shoulder press. Pull-ups. Dips.
Smart.
Dumbbell row. Pendulum or hack squat machine, either one I would take.
Okay.
Barbell deadlift. And notice I'm not going to put calf phrases in there.
You got what, 3 more? Yeah.
Lunges. Yeah, you gave me more than I needed already. Lunges, barbell overhead press, and push-ups.
Okay. So no curls.
I hate training arms. I don't even like training arms. I only do it so I don't have little skinny noodles hanging off of me, but I do not like training. You notice how every single movement I said was a multi-joint movement?
Yep, I sure did.
And every single one except the hack squat was a free weight, not a machine.
Also, you said there were no kind of flies in there either.
Nope.
No? Okay.
No.
So I think I heard them say this on the Modern Wisdom. I think that dude Chris Williamson, who has that podcast, I heard him ask, who's the big bodybuilder right now? Who's the guy that keeps on winning? You know, what's his name?
Oh, Chris Bumstead.
Yeah. Thank you. They asked him that, and it was interesting. I was like, can't wait to ask somebody that on my podcast one day.
Yeah,
I got it. If people want to learn more about you, Alec, or hire you, or follow you on social, what should they do?
Okay, so I'll start with the free offer and work my way up to the paid offer. So you have a few points of entry. My name is Alec Cheplak, ALEC. My last name is CHEPLAK. You can find me Alec Cheplak on Facebook, or just my last name Cheplak on Instagram. My dad's gonna buy that handle off me one day. Watch. I'm gonna tell it to him. I do have a free offer right now. If you want to get 20 free fitness tips over the next 20 days, you could just find me and shoot me a message. 20 tips. I'll give you free advice, and then obviously, nurture and follow up long term, and you'll go right in my database. We're all in the same business here, so you'll start hearing free advice from me daily. We could go that route, or we do have a $77 program. It is 8 separate 30-minute live coaching sessions for $77. You can find that at cheplakfitsprint.com. Cheplakfitsprint.com, the most in-depth live coaching sessions that we did in January that are now recordings in Kajabi. You get access to all the recordings and the paid private Facebook group for a one-time payment of $77. Or if you'd like to book a call, you want to talk one-on-one, you want a custom training and nutrition plan, go through our one-on-one coaching process, you can go to cheplakwellness.com and just fill out your name, number, email, and I will follow up with you so we can schedule a free discovery call.
Awesome. So we will put all those links in the comments. Alec, this is the first non-business episode of the Reside Platform podcast, brother. I'm so happy that it was you.
I love it. Let's go.
Yeah. Good. So we'll have to do it again, and we'll have Shannon on here to talk to the ladies coming up soon too. Although all the advice you gave works for men and for women, for sure.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, I hope.
Oh, Shannon's epic. Yeah, she'll do great for the. Shannon's great. I try to keep up with her every day, man. She's phenomenal.
That's awesome. So I hope everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you got something out of it. I did. I took notes. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, share, like, and subscribe. We do not run any ads on the Reside Platform podcast. So it would mean the world to me if you shared it with everybody who you think would get some value. All right. We'll see you on the next episode of the Reside Platform podcast real soon.